Hello, this is the Elite Gamer here with my 9th movie review, which will be Asterix Conquers America. As Asterix the Gaul, or The Adventures of Asterix the Gaul, was probably one of the most greatest comic adaptations to be made into quite a variety of animated films, running from 1960s times right through to the 90s. Anyway, the main premise and comedy and laughter which Asterix brought was almost around the premise of a what if idea as to what life would have been like if, say, one Gaulish village back in the days of the Roman times was able to actually hold out against a fortified garrison of their most greatest troops, the Roman Empire. So, by two Tartars, I know you waited a long time for this, so let's delve into this little comic strip movie-based adaptation based upon the comic adventures of Asterix and Obelix, and see if this is the wonder that it was today. Okay, let's get to it now, peeps. Alright, so let's start this off then. The year is 50 BC. The year is 1994, and Asterix Conquers America came out in 94, and this premise of film basically carries on the adventures based upon the comics and based upon the adventures of Asterix and Obelix. Basically, this is the plot of the film. Asterix and Obelix and the other villagers have been holding out against the relentless Roman attacks and the assaults of the Roman legions for months. Needless to say, nothing lasts forever. Well, almost nothing. Once again the silly Roman soldiers attack, and after having their heads knocked in by Asterix and Obelix, they end up being unceremoniously escorted off the field of battle with punches aided by the strength of the magic potion equivalent to the impact of a freight train. It's not long before Caesar's gallant warriors, the Roman soldiers, which have flattened every conceivable village this side of Gaul, come back to him bruised and battered, and hardly in any good condition at all. Tattered clothing, black eyes, the lot. Caesar's furious with this implication to his men, and decides that it's high time that they get rid of the person making the potion. His main objective now is to initiate his greatest occupation of all by fulfilling his final domination of Gaul with this final village by getting rid of Getafix, who was responsible for brewing the magic potion which has kept Gaul out of the hands of the Roman province all these years. He aims to do this by taking him by force and catapulting him off the edge of the world, thinking, like most people did back in the day, that the world is flat. We later realise that that's not the case, and as most of us do, well, probably from growing up, that the world's not flat, it's round. Still, moving on. It's not long before Getafix is captured by the Romans and ends up being taken aboard their galley. Meanwhile, Asterix and Obelix are fishing and end up embarking in a bit of a quarrel. So for a fair bit of this quarrel, they're so wrapped up in their argument that they don't notice that Getafix is on a Roman galley until it's almost too little too late. They give chase to the boat, and for a time it seems like they're going to catch it. But unfortunately, a terrible storm crops up at just the wrong moment, and even with the strength of the magic potion giving Obelix the edge in swimming and pushing the boat at the same time, he just can't keep up with it, and their boat ends up being taken off course, which later ends up crashing into a island later on, which they end up finding out is South America. Next morning, while Obelix goes to get food, aka wild boar, which is the food the Gauls eat, Asterix ends up being captured by some Native Americans, as a Getafix refers to them. Meanwhile, Obelix bumps into, I assume she's the princess of the tribe, who Obelix ends up saving from a buffalo stampede. And obviously that's no stretch for him, because the potion has a permanent effect on him, because, as we all know, genuine fans of the comics and the films alike, he fell into the magic potion when he was a baby. Anyway, they end up going back to the camp of the tribe, where Obelix has a little confrontation with the medicine man, basically telling them to let them go. After a little slightly tense debate, they end up doing as they're told, and Asterix and Getafix are free, which they then end up having a party. During the party, the princess is made to be embarrassed by the medicine man, which Getafix then takes pity on her and gives her a drink of magic potion to get her own back on the medicine man. Angry at being embarrassed, he decides to take revenge on Asterix and mainly Getafix by taking the druid by force, while at the same time dragging Asterix and Obelix, knocking them out, and making them virtually impossible for them to stop this terrible tribesman from taking Getafix by force. Of course, this doesn't stop our Gallic heroes. By morning, they're back to their old selves, well, except for Obelix, who's suffering from something, and they end up going looking for the druid, which by no means is helping their fellow countrymen back in Gaul. Back in Gaul, the magic potion is running critically low, and they're virtually on the final lines of defence before the Romans overwhelm their defences totally, utterly, mercilessly and completely for all the significant beatings they've received at the hands of the Gauls. After what seems like another one-way skirmish, Asterix and Obelix finds and rescue the druid. Asterix then thumps the devious little medicine man, and then they end up saying goodbye and end up going back to Gaul to see if they can keep the magic potion going before they end up having their village flattened by the Romans. Upon arrival, it almost looks as though everything is lost when they approach the village and realise that the village has been flattened, burned down to a crisp, literally, by the Roman Armada. Cacophonix is the only person who's left at this time, and just when they think all's lost, after they notice him. After they cut him down, he tells them that they've been taken back to the Roman camp, and that if they don't move now, they'll be taken back to Rome, to the arena. And we all know what the score will be for the Lions without the potion. Lions 15, Gauls 0. So obviously they can't let that happen, and eventually end up concocting a very cunning plan to infiltrate the camp and get their friends back. In the midst of Caesar's overconfident triumph, thinking he's bested the Gauls once and for all, Asterix and Obelix knock out some Roman soldiers, steal their uniforms, sneak up to the cage where all the villagers have been kept captive, and with one accord, all the villagers tanked up with magic potion break out the cage and totally beat the living strife out of the Roman soldiers. Caesar's little match scene as he just gets into a barrel and basically walks out the gate like a coward, leaving these Roman soldiers to be bashed around like a bag of feathers. So how would I rate Asterix Conquers America? Well, out of all the Asterix animated films, this probably had to be my most favourite ones, because this had the most amount of fights in it. You have the first Roman attack on the Gaul village. That's one. Then there's the one when they first meet the tribesmen. No offence intended, but that's basically, I'm just explaining the amount of skirmishes. That's two. Then another one when they sort of initiate Obelix into like this custom. That's three. And then the big battle in the Roman camp when they rescue their friends. So that's 4 battles. Now on top of that, I mean, you know, this is such a fun film, and to have Craig Charles doing the voice of Asterix, I thought was just a great choice. You know, the acting was brilliant. The music was just absolutely epic. So yeah, Asterix Conquers America comes full circle. That's not surprising when considering, in all fairness, that Asterix, or more preferably these divisions of the Gauls as far as this comic strip diversity are concerned, are made for the sole purpose of all else, to be one thing above all else: indomitable. I hereby give Asterix Conquers America 10 out of 10. So have a good day all. Until my next review relevant to video games, movies, or whatever I choose to review, stay tuned for the next installment. Thank you for your time, guys, and goodbye.